Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Librarian California, where today I'm going to do a TBR on whether or not I should read these books during the pandemic, which we're all experiencing, and we're all self-isolating, and we're probably reading a lot of books, but what we read is definitely up for debate, and these may or may not be the best idea. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, both books that I'm considering have been in my possession for a while. Neither of them I actually purchased. One of them was definitely given to me by a friend, and the other one I picked up, I think, at a conference. But why am I thinking about these now? Well, as we all kind of prepared for this, as my library closed down, as things started to progress a few weeks ago, I was kind of grabbing things out of my office. What might I want to use or need or, to do my work, but also I have a lot of books in my office in the library. So I was also thinking about maybe I have a little bit of extra time. Maybe I can get some reading done. So I grabbed a few books here and there. I grabbed a couple books that have been sent to me or I was considering for potentially putting forth as our common read book for the university. And then I just grabbed some in my office that I had never read. And then I saw these two books sitting there and I thought, I don't know, is that something I should read during this time? So I grabbed them. And well, I'll let you tell me in the comment section whether you think it's a good idea or not to read these two books. But anyway, so as I was grabbing things, I just decided to throw them in my bag and I let them sit there. And I finally pulled them out the other day because I happened to be watching a video from another booktuber who was talking about a book from the pandemic in 1918, the Spanish flu. And I thought, okay, well, they read the book and they were doing a book review on it. So maybe it's not a bad time to read books about this subject and talk about it and think about it. And, maybe this is a good time. So I haven't had the time to do it up until now. So the first book I'm considering is Spillover: Animal Infections and the Next Human Pandemic, written by David Quammen. I hope I pronounced that right. It was written in 2012, and it traces the origins of Ebola, Marburg, I'm not even sure what that is, SARS, avian influenza, Lyme disease, and AIDS. And it's a hefty book. It comes in at 520 pages, plus the notes and index at the end. So it's, a little bit of a thicker read. I remember the friend who gave it to me said it was a great book and I should read it, but at the time I was in graduate school again, and this is just not the type of book that I was reading at that time. So I put it on my shelf and I even moved it across country when I moved here to California, and it's just kind of sat in my office ever since. And then I picked it up the other day and thought, well, maybe this is the time. So anyways, I was looking it over before I did this video, and there's 4 blurbs on the back, 2 of which I wasn't that impressed with. I was kind of questioning, why did they write them? They weren't scientists. They weren't, I don't know. It didn't win me over, but the other 2, I was like, okay. And then I read more about the author. He has written a lot. He's won a lot of awards in science writing. And so, okay, I do like to see that. This isn't his first science piece by any means. And then I read the beginning of it, and I'll just read 2 little sections here so you get a feel for what it is. The next big and murderous human pandemic, the one that kills us in the millions, will be caused by a new disease. New to humans anyway. The bug that's responsible will be strange, unfamiliar, but it won't come from outer space. Odds are that the killer pathogen, most likely a virus, will spill over into humans from a non-human animal. So that is, that is kind of what we're possibly dealing with right now. So that's intriguing. And then if you skip down a little bit further into the dust jacket, there's 2 sentences here that really caught my attention. In this age of speedy travel between dense human populations, an emergent disease can go global in hours. But where and how will it start? That really caught my attention. So when this whole outbreak, started outbreaking and this turned into a pandemic that we have today, I did wonder about airlines, and the airlines were still flying and there was flights all over this world and just how global of a society we live in. And I kind of was questioning, why are people still flying? Why have the airlines not been shut down? When is that going to happen? And even today, a lot of airlines haven't shut down. Now they've greatly reduced their number of flights, canceled, tons of flights, and there's hardly any to be flying right now. But a couple weeks ago, when this still was early on, people were flying, and I don't know that they were taking it as seriously as they should have been. So that did worry me, because that's definitely one way to transfer things all over this world. So that sentence definitely made me think that maybe I do need to read this, and maybe this is the time. Or maybe it's not the time. I don't really know. I'll let you help me decide by putting some comments below. Is this the right time to read this book? I don't know. It's been out since 2012. Haven't read it yet, but I really trust my friend who gave it to me. She's a librarian, said I really needed to read it. And I kind of want to take her, I like to take her recommendation and finally get around to reading it. So we'll see. But this is the first book that I'm considering. The next book I'm considering is one that I picked up at a conference a few years ago, and it's called The Next Pandemic: On the Front Lines Against Humankind's Gravest Dangers by Ali Khan and William Patrick. It was written in 2016. It stands over a little bit over 259 pages. There's some notes and an index at the end, but much more, about half the size of the other book. So much more digestible. It's kind of got a cool cover. I like to see the jungle. I like to see the mist. There's kind of mysteria around it. So anyways, I read the back of the dust jacket. Still seems pretty interesting. The authors that wrote the blurb seemed what I would expect to see and hope to see on who's promoting this book. And if you pop open the inside of the book, you'll learn about the authors. I will say that I was happy to hear that Ali Khan is actually Dr. Ali Khan, and he worked at the Centers for Disease Control in the United States for over 20 years. I really like to see that. I also like to see that he currently is the Dean of the College of Public Health, at least at the time of this publication in 2016 at the University of Nebraska. I like that he's in higher ed and academia. I think that, helps give it some legitimacy. I also am happy to see there's a co-author there to make it more readable for the rest of us, the masses, or people outside of academia. I have no problems with the co-author, especially if they make the book, better and more enjoyable for us all to read. So if we pop open the opening of the book, look at the dust jacket, I'll just read you two little parts here so you can get a little bit better sense about what this book's about and whether or not you think I should read it and whether or not you'd be interested in reading it. Now, throughout history, humankind's biggest killers have been infectious diseases. The Black Death, the Spanish flu, and AIDS alone account for over 100 million deaths. We ignore this reality most of the time, but when a new threat, Ebola, SARS, Zika, seems imminent, we send our best and bravest doctors to contain it, people like Dr. Ali S. Khan. Now, a little bit further down in the dust jacket, it says, the next pandemic is a first-hand account of disasters like anthrax, bird flu, and others, and how we could do more to prevent their return. It is both a gripping story of our brushes with fate and an urgent lesson on how we can act to keep ourselves safe from the next inevitable pandemic. So this is pretty compelling, and I'm definitely considering it. But what do you think? Let me know below in the comment section. Is this something you would read in general? Is this something you would read now? Am I crazy to consider either of these books right now? Is this the right time? Isn't it? Like I said, this one's probably been in my office end for a few years since it came out in 2016, but I just haven't got around to either of them. So I don't know. Maybe it's the time, maybe it isn't. I haven't 100% decided, but I definitely want to read both of them, but is now the right time? I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'll definitely take suggestions and look at the comments below. And surprise, I'm going to throw in another one. It's not a to be read, but it's a to be watched. I was going through some of my stuff now that we have plenty of time to be at home and self-isolating, and I was going through a bunch of DVDs that people had either given me or I've purchased over the years and just haven't watched, which I hate to say that I do that. I purchased, DVDs and don't watch them right away, or I do that with books too. But that's a different story. I'm a librarian and that's totally okay. But anyways, the movie that I'm considering is Contagion. It came out in 2011. It's PG-13. I have never watched it, but I definitely have seen some people talking about this online right now. It says, nothing spreads like fear, Contagion. And if I look at the back of the DVD, you can see that it says, when a lethal airborne virus with the power to wipe out humanity is unleashed, the worldwide medical community races to find a vaccine and stop the panic from spreading. It also says, this edge of your seat thriller follows the deathly path of a virus that is beyond containment. Researchers for disease control, the military, the World Health Organization, and ordinary citizens mobilize to try and find a cure and a cause before it's too late. This may be hitting home for a lot of people, and it's definitely why I'm considering it. And it's got Matt Damon in it, and I really like him, so that's a bonus. It's got some other wonderful actors and actresses in it, but Matt Damon's definitely a draw. I really like him. I like his work, but I just don't remember much about this movie. I remember when it came out. I was probably in graduate school again and didn't get to the movie theaters that often. So it sat around for a while, but I definitely saw it the other day. Somebody posted something on it online, and it definitely made me think of it. And I dug through some bins and I found it, and I thought, well, maybe this is the time. So anyways, I'm going to throw in a movie on top of the 2 books here. You can let me know if you've seen it. Is it worthwhile? Should I watch it? So that's it. So I've given you 2 books for a TBR to consider during an stay-at-home isolation, social distancing during this pandemic, and then also a movie about a pandemic and whether I should watch this. So let me know what you think below. But that's it for this week's video. And remember, although you can't visit your public library, you can visit them online or look through your bookshelves, see what you haven't read in a long time, see what you can knock out, and enjoy yourselves. Be safe, and we'll eventually get through this.